Did you know that Christ and Buddha are brothers? Have you ever wondered if the great spiritual teachers of East and West are working together in ways we've yet to understand? There are still great spiritual mysteries that are yet to be unfolded to the broader humanity. What if Gautama Buddha and the Christ were not rivals, but allies, serving a divine plan for human evolution? In the early 20th century, the Austrian seer Rudolf Steiner, a Rosicrucian initiate, revealed a profound spiritual science called anthroposophy that dared to say just that. Today, we explore Steiner's deep insights into the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas of compassion that stay close to earth to help humanity, their link to the Christ being, and what it all means for the mysterious second coming of Christ, not in the clouds, but in the very etheric realm of our inner perception. In Steiner's teachings, a bodhisattva is a high-ranking spiritual being, almost fully enlightened, but who chooses not to complete the journey to Buddhahood. Why? Because of their love for humanity. Because they stay behind to guide us. Every 5,000 years, according to Steiner, one such being incarnates with a world-transforming mission. These bodhisattvas are teachers of wisdom and bearers of light, revealing new truths in each age. And they are not isolated figures. They belong to a great chain of initiates from a range of different cultural groups and from different religious teachings. These initiates include Zarathustra from the Persian tradition, Hermes from the Greek tradition, Moses from Judaism, Krishna from Hinduism, Gautama Buddha from India, and more. The incarnating of all these initiates on earth has then culminated in the greatest event in Earth's spiritual history, the descent of the Christ. Steiner's teachings diverge from traditional theology. He shows that Buddha and Christ are not separate paths, but part of the same cosmic plan. He explains that when Gautama Buddha attained enlightenment, he became a Buddha, but then did something extraordinary. Out of compassion and spiritual foresight, he surrendered his Nirmanakaya, his spiritual body of light, to aid the Christ being at the time of the baptism in the Jordan. The Nirmanakaya of Buddha shone over the head of Jesus, Steiner said. It illuminated the Christ's earthly path. So the Buddha, having fulfilled his Eastern mission, lent his power to help Christ become incarnate in the West as a universal spiritual force. But the work of the Bodhisattvas didn't end with Gautama. Steiner reveals that another Bodhisattva now walks among us, an initiate who has reincarnated many times throughout history. This being is preparing to one day become the Maitreya Buddha, the next world teacher, around 3,000 years from now. Yet today, he works quietly, not with miracles or titles, but with deep moral wisdom, speaking to the heart of our conscience. He inspires teachings of karma, reincarnation, and spiritual freedom. This bodhisattva, Steiner said, prepares the human soul to experience the Christ, not in flesh, but in spirit. This is the teacher of the sixth cultural epoch, the coming age of spiritual sister and brotherhood and inner light. Now comes the heart of Steiner's mystery. He tells us that the second coming of Christ will not happen in the physical realm, but in the etheric world. This began subtly around 1933. This return is not an event, but a process. Slowly, inwardly, more and more people will begin to perceive Christ in the etheric as a living spiritual being, visible not to the eyes, but to the morally awakened soul. This perception comes through intuition, through spiritual science, and through transformation of consciousness. The future Bodhisattva is preparing us for this moment, teaching us how to awaken to this new clairvoyance, how to develop the organs of perception that let us behold the resurrected Christ within the etheric field of the earth. What is the etheric field? Steiner's picture of Christ's second coming shifts the focus from a future physical descent to an event already unfolding, but on a subtler plane, the etheric realm. Most of his ideas about this were drawn from his collective lectures from 1910 to 1930, collected as The Reappearance of Christ in the Etheric. Christian eschatology often envisages Christ returning bodily in like manner as he ascended, as noted in Acts 1:11. Steiner's view was that the apostolic promise is fulfilled not by a new physical birth, but by Christ manifesting once more in the etheric or life body of the earth. In his words, the true nature of the second coming of Christ is his appearance to human beings in the etheric world, not his return in a physical body. In Steiner's anthroposophy, matter and spirit interpenetrate through several bodies or fields. Firstly, we have a physical body. Then there's an etheric body called the life body, the seat of growth, reproduction, and formative forces. There's the astral body, the seat of sensation, desire, emotions, and individual consciousness. Lastly, we have the ego, the I, or self-awareness. The etheric world is a realm of formative, life-giving forces that underlie all organic processes. It sustains and shapes the physical bodies of plants, animals, and humans. It appears as the blueprint of growth. Just as humans have an etheric body, so does the earth. It envelops the planet in a field of life forces. Steiner often called this envelope the etheric sphere of the earth, where spiritual activity can be perceived by those with developed clairvoyant faculties. Why does this matter? Because Steiner saw that the destiny of humanity depends on our ability to evolve inwardly. Christ came once to bring the seed of love and freedom. Now, in the etheric, he returns to guide us in our spiritual maturity. And just like John the Baptist prepared the way for the first coming, the Bodhisattva of today prepares the way for the second, through education, truth, and the moral awakening of humanity. Through him, the Christ becomes not a figure of dogma, but a living force within each soul. And through us, this force spreads into the world, transforming culture, science, and community. How will the Christ appear to people? Through inner vision, individuals have reported perceiving a radiant form clothed in etheric light, often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of unity and purpose. An inspirational impulse, even without a clear vision, people may feel Christ's presence as arising energies within themselves, feelings of compassion, creativity, and cooperative thinking entering human culture. Collective effect. As more people open to these impulses, Steiner foresaw a gradual transformation of society. He saw spiritually enlivened communities rather than merely materialistic ones. What are the implications for spiritual life? We are asked to actively participate in Christ's etheric return. It's not a spectacle to be awaited, but a co-creative event to engage with through inner work. This cosmic Christ awakening is universally accessible. It transcends religious beliefs or denominations. Any sincere seeker developing spiritual etheric perception may encounter him. To Steiner, developing a Christ consciousness was an evolutionary milestone. He placed the coming of the Christ in the etheric at the center of 20th century spiritual evolution, a hinge between old materialistic paradigms and a future guided by direct spiritual knowledge. In summary, for Steiner, the second coming is already underway. Christ's life body working invisibly through the world's very life forces. By cultivating the eye of the etheric world, seekers can perceive him in his luminous, formative presence, much as the early disciples glimpsed him in flesh, but now on a subtler, universal plane. In the end, Steiner's message is clear. The great spiritual streams are not divided. Buddha and Christ, East and West, past and future, all converge in the evolution of the human soul. The Bodhisattvas, ancient and new, are still walking among us. Their presence is subtle, but powerful. They speak not to our intellects, but to our hearts, and Christ has never left. He is returning. Not to rule empires, but to awaken the divine within. So the question remains, not when will he come, but rather, will I be open to perceiving him? If this vision moved something in you, consider subscribing for more spiritual wisdom from Steiner and other mystical teachers and the world's esoteric traditions. Let us journey inward together and become witnesses to the light that returns not once, but again and again in every seeking.